This is Coach's Corner.
Welcome, Commodore fans, to Coach's Corner, a production of Gulf Coast State College and the digital media program here at the college. Today, Coach Goebel and I are going to talk about Lady Commodore Basketball. Season's already going. Hurricane Michael's made it a little interesting, but right now, Coach, Lady Commodore 7-1 overall, ranked number 4 in the state coaches poll, and ranked number 10 in the NJCA national poll. But because of the hurricane, this has been a little different start for the Lady Commodores.
Yeah, our fall is, the hurricane was kind of after the first tragedy in losing Keyshawn, in the tragic car accident, and we thought we had handled that pretty well, and the young ladies were real resilient. And then about 2 weeks after we attended her funeral, we had the storm, and it's just been one thing after the other. But we're playing, and we have a gym, and we have a floor, and all the things that we went through to practice at different places, and to evacuate safely, and then return safely, and then transport safely during that time that we had to go off site. And so it's great to be back. Every day it seems to be something. We can't get any momentum, and that seems to be affecting our play. But we're back, and we're in our house, and so we're just thankful for what we do have, and not thinking too much about what we don't have.
And so, when I coached high school ball, I lost a player to a tragic accident, and our team rallied around that, and it was actually what was really bad. They had a purpose for, and so they did that. Now, also, we've had some folks step up and try to help Lady Commodores because of Hurricane Michael.
We sure have. We had, first of all, just in having to transport to Walton County, 3 different high schools let us utilize their gym during school, after school, at night. So very thankful to them. And then we've had all these food drives, pantry drives, clothing drives, and have a friend in Adidas, and Beth Bass, and she sent like 3 dozen winter jackets for the hurricane victims. So very, very thankful to Beth Bass and to Adidas. Definitely want to give that shout out to them helping people during such a difficult time.
And so and people have supported the Panhandle and will continue to need support. There's a lot of damage in this area. Yeah,
this is going to be a long haul. Obviously it's not going to be, the push of a button on the phone or quick fix when you're still hearing about people that just got internet yesterday, or they're not going to get it back in their houses for a year, or not going to be able to rebuild for a couple of years. We sit here and we're playing games, and we're competing, and our young ladies are practicing every day and going to classes. And even though we've been real flexible with all that, we're just very, very fortunate that we get to do what we do, and others are struggling to rebuild or even just survive.
And so our hearts go out to all of them.
Yes.
Because we live here, we see it every day.
Right.
And the nations, their hearts are coming out to us.
Yeah, there's been a lot of effort.
But let's talk a little bit about Lady Commodore Basketball. 7-1 overall, the only blemish to Wabash Valley, ranked number 9th in the country.
Yeah.
On a long road trip, had to go up, play that night. Other than that, Lady Commodores have won their games, Coach.
Yeah, we've managed. We haven't looked, we've had maybe 1 or 2 that we looked polished, executed well. We've kind of just been struggling through these games to find out who we are, to figure out what our role is on the team. And, because of the things that happened, we had to kind of jumble positions, and people are having to learn multiple positions. So, instead of gaining momentum, we're just trying to still find, we have pieces to the puzzle, but the puzzles, we're having a hard time putting it together. But fortunately for all the struggles that we have, we've only had 1 loss, and it was a 3-point game. It was real exciting, and Wabash has a very good team, and so hopefully we learn from that. But we are still in this struggle mode of trying to figure out what our identity is, and who we are, and who the people are that need to kind of carry us. So that's still a work in progress, and we're kind of running out of time. We got to get this figured out in a short period of time.
And some of that is there's a lot of freshmen on this team.
We have a lot of newcomers. Yeah, you know, when you only have 4 points a game coming back to the team, and then you look at the Panhandle and that's already strong, and then they have some veteran play. Northwest has a lot of people back, a lot of veteran players back. Chipola, veteran players. Tallahassee's got some veteran players, and we don't have that. And then we've had all the crazy things to happen. But, you know, there's no excuses. JUCO ball is freshmen and sophomores, and whether we're freshmen or sophomores, we got to figure it out. We know what style we want to play. Now we have to buy in and work hard every day, and that part has been kind of the work in progress of buying in and having good things and building and getting a little momentum, and we're struggling with that. So, you know, as a coach, I got to figure out what the right button is, and so far I hadn't figured that out.
Okay, and we'll dive into positions a little bit. That way we can talk about the personnel a little bit at point guard.
Well, we brought in a young lady from France. And, you know, we had Peanut Payton from Fort Walton Beach and Nakia returning from last year's team. And then we brought in a young lady from France who, the size and the physical ability and you know, she's definitely the right fit. Probably the problem with her at the moment is the language barrier. So probably not a good position to have an international player who's still learning the language, because even though we have the language, we speak it differently. So that piece, she's working hard every day, and hopefully by January understand a little more, because she's great. Leah Farsi is a great defender. She's working on her offensive game, but she is a great point guard prospect.
And getting about 16 minutes a game thus far as a freshman.
Yeah, she's playing a lot of minutes, and she's getting more comfortable every game and understanding that that's her role. She was a combo guard coming in, so taking over as the point guard and point guard spot only has been a challenge for her, and the language. So I think in the next few weeks we're going to see even better things from Leah.
And then at the shooting guard position.
Yeah, right now we have Brittany Davis from Georgia, scored a lot of points in high school. She's you know, one of our leading scorers on this team, and can put up a lot of points. Got good size, so we're looking for great things from Brittany. And then at the other spot is Naomi Mbanju, who's a 6'2" perimeter player. So she has great skills, great passing skills. Took a little injury up in Indiana, so we're still kind of recovering from that. It's been slow getting back. And you know, and then we have some backups with Dee Dee. She's a great shooter, so we have some depth at our shooting guard spot.
And both of those, you know, Davis 16.1 points a game already.
Right.
And then 11.3. So two of those players you've already talked about at that shooting guard position are averaging double figures already.
Yeah.
So those are good things to do. Let's talk about small forward or 3 position.
Well, that is Naomi is the small forward, and then you have Alexis Dye and Dominique Banks, who are veteran players. Didn't get a lot of minutes last year, so we're expecting some big things from them. And I think they're starting to learn their role a little better. You know, they just needed minutes. Still need some more minutes and repetition in live play. You know, great in drills, and then transferring to live play has been a little bit challenging at times, but they're getting better every day. And then a freshman in Nadia Marshall, who plays at that position too, so strong, and so we're just kind of learning our way, but we're getting better.
And Herman and I had the opportunity to watch y'all play the other day. Dominique Banks, a tremendous improvement from last year.
Yeah.
She comes, plays well with her back to the rim now, is playing in that post, playing with confidence, can finish, and Herman and I were like, wow, look at the progress she has made. Yeah,
she tremendous. From start to where she is right now, just probably the most improvement of anybody in a couple of years. And for her, it's the transferring of what she can do in drills to live play consistently. So she is much better. Now we got to fix the consistent part. And when she gets that, her and Alexis both, when they become more consistent and you can count on maybe a double-double every game, I think that's going to be a key factor in us being competitive in Panhandle play. So,
and then at the 4 spot, what do we got? Some of those are probably playing all those positions.
Well, yeah, we've had Ostuge, of course, starts with us, and I think that's where Keyshawn not being with us is a huge factor. Right. Keyshawn was the personality of the team. She was a leader. She had high energy. She took charges. So So we lost, I would say we lost our sixth man and possibly even a starter over time. So if nothing else, sometimes your sixth man is your best player. So I think that's a huge factor in us, and we've had to jumble the lineup due to that, and that's been difficult, and it's taking some time. But we've got to figure it out, and we have jumbled it a little bit. Stu pretty much sat there, but we have put Naomi. She is a big guard, but she can play that position too, and we've put her there some. And when we say that, we've played her at the point guard too. So we've got Naomi. Yes, she can play a lot of minutes, but we've probably got her completely confused because every position requires a lot of different skill sets. So I would say we probably got Naomi completely confused.
Kind of like Castro a lot when she came in, because she played so many different positions and had to move around.
Same thing. The same thing.
So, and then at the center position, or the 5, Stu Gay, Dominic Banks.
Yeah, they rotate in. So there's some sophomore play there, so they do have some experience, just not enough minutes last year. Stu was the only really one that got extended minutes last year.
So Lady Commodores averaging 80.6 points a game, holding your opponents to 53.8.
Yeah.
So at times they play defense. They can play defense.
Yeah, we can score, and but when you look at the Panhandle right now and you look at the scores, my gosh, it's like 100 and something points a game. So 80 is not even close to what we're going to need to. But usually when you get to Panhandle play, the score, you won't be holding people in the 50s. And if they're scoring 100 right now, you better hope that you're in the 70s and you're still scoring 80. So those numbers will change a little bit, but there's some Panhandle teams that are really scoring a lot of points.
Yeah, I figured in a minute we may run down what some of them are averaging. So that's kind of how the personnel is shaking out there. If we look at quickly the Panhandle Conference and how other teams are doing, Chipola right now 14-0, Tallahassee Community College 12-0, Northwest Florida 11-0, Gulf Coast State College is 7-1, and Pensacola is 12-2. If we come down to that state coaches poll, Northwest Florida 1, Tallahassee 2, Chipola 3, Gulf Coast 4, Pensacola 6. That is pretty impressive when you stop to look at that. 4 of the 5 Panhandle Conference teams are in the national poll this year.
Top 10.
Pensacola dropped out, but still receiving votes. But if we look at those, Chipola averaging 81.9 points a game, so that one's not as a big hill, but Chipola's always a tough team to play. And very good and
absolutely
press the ball. Northwest Florida's putting up 83.8 points a game. But I think if you look through some of their scores, they've scored some. Pensacola 79.2, but as we know, Tallahassee's putting up 100.1 points a game. So that's how they're playing thus far. And none of those other teams went through Hurricane Michael. There was some effect.
Chipola was
some
displaced for a while.
So they had a little bit in there. So have you seen all the Panhandle Conference teams play? I've
seen everybody but Chipola, but I'm very well aware because they have a lot of returners that they're counting on. So we know how good they are, and they're always tough. They've got really good guard play. So we've seen the rest of them play, and it's going to be quite the challenge for us this year. Like, we're really going to have to overachieve to try to compete for the top 2 spots. Obviously right now we're number 4, and that's probably legit, number 4 behind the other 3, and even Pensacola's pretty darn good. We're going to have to improve greatly between now and January the 6th for us to compete in the Panhandle Conference.
And this year, you alluded to it, 2 teams from the Panhandle go to the state tournament. So that makes it tough in this conference. Really tough. And then the national folks were talking about if you didn't play in a qualifier, did they ever go anywhere?
I don't know what they're going to do with it. I imagine they're going to let this thing play out and hope that it's not a factor that they have to think about. Because if some teams down south, we play Eastern Florida after the holidays, and it may not be us as a factor, but we know in the past it affected Chipola one year when Daytona had beaten them. So if I'm a team in the south, they're closing that gap to the Panhandle every year. I feel like they get a little closer, and they're closing that gap even more. So if one of those teams teams comes up, probably the national seeding would hope that they don't have to look at a possible at-large bid for a Panhandle team that doesn't make it to the region.
So quickly, what's the Lady Commodores have before conference play?
We have some great challenges, and I would say we could easily lose them all, and we could, on the other hand, win them all. We play this week at Chattahoochee Valley, who is one of those up-and-coming programs from Alabama, who's not too far behind Shelton State right now.
Right.
So we could have quite the challenge on our hands this Thursday at their place. And then we come back, and Georgia Highlands is always perennial power in Georgia, right behind South Georgia Tech, or right with them this year. I'm not sure. South Georgia Tech's ranked and Georgia Highlands isn't, but they're just right there. So they're coming to our house Saturday. So both of those games are definitely going to get us ready for Panhandle. And then when we return from the holidays, we have Eastern Florida and Shelton State, over in a tournament, and so and St. Pete and all of those teams. So we definitely are going to get ready for Panhandle play with those 5 games.
One way or another, it's coming.
Yes, it's coming.
So, for Coach Scoble, Commodore fans, I'll be right back with Coach Powell to talk about how the Commodores are doing right after this word from our sponsor.
Programming on 90.7 WKGC and the Commodore Sports Network is sponsored by Sweet Bay. Sweet Bay is a bayfront village in Panama City that features parks, walking trails to the water, a future town center, and more. A community connected at the water's edge, Sweet Bay. More information about Sweet Bay online at sweetbayfl.com or 844-35-SWEET.
Welcome back, Commodore fans. Coach Powell and I will talk about the Commodores and how they're doing overall. Right now, 9-4, receiving votes in the state coaches poll. Coach, as we talk about the Commodores, there's been a little opportunity with Hurricane Michael and the start of this season compared to any other season. So how's it been trying to find a place to practice and games and our gym, and what effects have that had on the Commodores?
Well, the first thing that I probably need to recognize and through all of this is the support of the college as a whole towards having a basketball season, moving on with our athletics department. That's outstanding. It could have gone either way. I'm totally aware of that. Our players are aware of that, and for from the decision makers all the way down to say, hey, let's get this thing going. Let's get the student athletes back, and make the commitment to having not only a season but a good season. We're very fortunate. I'm very fortunate as a coach, and the student athletes are very fortunate as student athletes to be in that situation. The day or the Sunday before the storm, we were in Tallahassee in the Jamboree. We won both of those scrimmages, and towards the end of the Jamboree, coach at a four-year school, an old friend comes up and says, hey, I hear a storm's headed y'all's way. I knew nothing of the storm on Sunday afternoon, and I don't really think I'm in the minority on that. I said, well, I don't know. And so I looked at my radar and still really didn't see a storm in the Gulf of Mexico. That being said, by Monday morning at 10:30, we had a staff meeting, and Coach Candler gave us the directive to get all of the men elsewhere. At 12:30, I met with the men and shared with them, storms are unpredictable, but it's probably coming our way. Please make arrangements to get out of town in the next couple of hours. And to the guys' benefit and their families, they all got out of here very efficiently. And so the storm comes Wednesday, phone lines down, electricity down. Everyone that I believe resides here, life in some way, form or fashion was changed probably forever. And it went about a week before I really could get in touch with the men, because when I was able to get to maybe mobile service or Wi-Fi, the guys also have to be available to take a call wherever they are. They don't know when to expect communication from me. So we went almost 3.5 weeks there without much, we communicated, but without much communication on what's going to happen next. And then we were told, hey, let's get the student athletes back and let's start moving forward. Again, we were so thankful and appreciative for that. And so the guys got back exactly when we asked them to, and we started trying our best to get ready. I wasn't able to call any coaches. Most of the time when we go through adverse situations, even with a lot of experience, you try to bounce things off of people who have gone through similar situations. But there was no one to call and ask, how do you overcome, or how do you expedite the process of getting better when you have gone 3.5 weeks without practicing in the preseason. So there was no one to call. So we're trying to figure this out kind of on our own on how best to do this. To the men's credit, they came in and they've worked hard and they've had a good attitude. I've been so proud of them. Vernon High School and South Walton High School both stepped up and shared their gymnasium with us so that we could practice in both places. Of course, I was fortunate on that. The head coach at both of those schools are former assistant coaches of mine, so we had an in to get into both places. And we traveled in a 15 passenger van, 45 minutes back and forth each day to get practice in. We were able to do that almost a week. And then we were fortunate enough the day of our first game to at least get some shots up on a college court, because we were able at least to get back on the playing surface at Billy Harrison Fieldhouse, which was such a blessing because we had been practicing somewhere without college three-point lines, without a shot clock, a shorter court. So blessed to have those people step up and share, and then to get in one workout before we went and played. And so from that point on, as far as basketball is gone, other than not being able to lift during the non-conference and preseason the way we would like to, we've been very fortunate to try to just go right through the process as closely as we can to the way we would have done it anyway.
So in this case, we're up and going. Let's talk about point guard. We'll talk about all 5 positions, and then you can talk about your personnel and how they're doing. So at the point.
Well, at the point, our second practice back after the storm, regretfully, Daniel Kiley broke his foot. And it was kind of an odd situation. He injured it. Everything's different, especially in that time period here in Bay County. And so I gave him 4 days off, 3 days off, and thinking it was a sprained foot, and then he tried to practice. It hurt, but he got through it. Then after practicing on Monday, though, I could tell, well, something might be wrong. So we took him to the doctor, and X-ray was negative, the doctor said. And so he went for another week, and it was still hurting him. And we got a second X-ray, and the fracture had shown up in the second X-ray. So Daniel had surgery on his foot. He will or should have 100% recovery, and everything should be fine for his future career. But he was our lone returner, and he averaged 5 assists a game last year. That was going to go up, and he was going to be a 14 or 15 point a game scorer for us. So we missed those things, but we'll talk about that later. I've kind of already decided the adversity things, maybe about Christmas, I'm going to kind of lay those out as a blanket statement. These are the things we've overcome. Now we really don't need to talk about them anymore until the season's over. And then if the season's over, we can reflect and say, well, we went through all of these things, but while we're trying to win games, it is what it is. But anyway, I did want to, in this situation, I wanted to share with fans about what happened with Daniel, because, no sense in everybody wondering, hey, where's Kiley? He was a great player last year. So KK Godwin and Jacoby Owens are both playing the point. We know they're very capable. They're nice players, 2 of our leading scorers so far this season, and leading us in assists. And it's also allowed us to move Cam Holden, a 6'5" wing, that can see the floor really well. He's kind of, I kid him about being third string because he's a very good player, but he's kind of our third string point guard. And in our game last Thursday at Bay Minette, Coastal Alabama South, KK and Jacoby both had 2 fouls in the first half, and we were up 12 when that occurred, and Cam was able to take us into the locker room still with an 8-point lead. And so I was so proud of him for that. So at the point, we have those 2 guys mainly, and Cam's coming in a pinch. The 2-guard spot, whoever's off the ball in between KK and Jacoby plays the 2. Also Reggie Rivera, our lone sophomore now without Daniel. He's been one of our leading scorers and has been a great leader for us. Reggie's a little bit older. He's gone through some adversity in life. And so when the other guys that are coming right out of high school, when maybe they're wondering about things or really exhausted and tired mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, then Reggie's able to kind of help them, and he's done so to help, hey, let's get everything back right. So I'm proud of Reggie for that. And he's also playing good basketball, very coachable. So he plays the 2. At the small forward position, Cam Holden and Reggie both do that, along with Maurice Gordon. Maurice has probably been our best glue guy. I'm careful to say that about anybody because used to that was a compliment. I'm a little leery now because I think sometimes when you refer to a player as a glue guy or a real solid player, I almost don't even use the term role player anymore because it seems like maybe the basketball world has turned that into when you're a role player, you're not talented or you're not skilled. And that's not the case. Maurice is talented and he is skilled, but he has just been very solid for us, being where we want him to be, doing what we want him to do on the court, and playing hard, defending good players on the other teams. And Maurice plays the power forward, small forward spot. And then Cam Holden also scores the ball real well. He reminds me, Cam does, in the middle against the zone. We had a really nice player a few years ago named Kobe Gooseby. And we could get the ball into the high post to Kobe against a zone defense. And Kobe would just make a great move and either create for someone or finish himself. Cameron has that same skill set, so I like Cameron a lot. As we move to maybe the more power forward position, Jarrell Kelly. He went all the way up until the week of Thanksgiving, and Jarrell was, I guess I would say, inconsistent. Not inconsistent in a really bad way. I don't mean it that way. Just a true freshman coming out of high school. And the week of Thanksgiving, we were going to play Daytona. I challenged him a little bit, and he started working hard. And after our win last night down in Gainesville, I shared with the whole team how proud I was of Jarrell, because that week before Thanksgiving, before we went to Daytona, when he knew he was going to be playing against high-level players, Jarrell started picking it up, and now he's gone 3 weeks where we really haven't had a bad day with his efforts since. And so Jarrell's really coming along, and hit a big shot, even though he didn't shoot it well from the field for the game yesterday. Hit a big shot late in the game yesterday to help us get that win. So Jarrell's been playing the 4. He's capable one day of playing the 3, but it might even be his sophomore year before he does that a lot. And then he's also at times had to slide down and play the post position for us. At the post right now, we're playing Johan Ndolo and Ikene, and I'm not even going to try on Ikene's last name. Out of respect, I'll not try to say it. But he goes by Ike. Johan and Ike are still figuring things out. Johan can score the ball on the block well. Ike shoots a nice 15-foot jump shot. They both are still learning the college speed of the game and how tough and physical you have to be. But they did give us some good things yesterday in our game. So with that, but also at the 5, the man that we anticipated getting a lot of minutes for us, Jamal Burke, has not played yet. Back in late September, he had a tear in his patellar tendon. We were very fortunate to get elite medical care for him, and we're expecting him back in practice and in the lineup anytime now.
So that's good to hear. Like I said, you have one returning sophomore and only other sophomore on the team. All the rest of them are freshmen.
Yes.
May not be the best thing now, but that makes the future look really bright when you have that many potential returning players for the next year's team.
Well, we are definitely, I really want to win. And the men are winners. They really want to win. And so I'm hesitant to ever talk past just this season, but they're having fun now. They're starting to understand how things have to be in college basketball. And so you take some of the things we've mentioned, no Daniel, no Jamal, as you mentioned, Hurricane Michael. We're playing all freshmen and then one sophomore who didn't play last season. So we're doing all right, and we're doing pretty good. Won 4 of our last 5.
So in this case, before we run out of time, let's talk quickly about what games the Commodores have before the conference comes up in January.
So this Friday and Saturday we will play in Marianna against a good South Georgia Tech team. They have some real nice size and a couple of very good guards. And then I have not, since we played last night and I just got in this morning, I've only been able to start looking at South Georgia Tech. Our opponent, Southern Union, for Saturday, don't mean anything other than I just have not physically had time to look into Southern Union much. But as soon as we can, we'll be getting information on them as well. We'll have a Christmas break, and then after the Christmas break, we will be playing late December a couple of home games before we go to Tallahassee for conference.
So, and then if we run down the conference right quick, Tallahassee Community College 14-0, Northwest Florida State College 12-1, Chipola College 11-1, Pensacola State 11-4, and Gulf Coast State College 9-4. If we look at the state coaches poll, 4 in the state coaches poll, Commodores receiving votes, and then 3 of the panel conference teams ranked nationally, and quickly Chipola's averaging 95.7 points a game. Then if we look at, if I can get through this, I should have shortened this up. Northwest Florida, 100.4 points a game. And this just shows you how tough the panel conference is. Pensacola 81.9, and then to round out, Tallahassee Community College 92.8. A tough place to play, Coach.
It's fun.
It's fun. And when the Panhandle Conference race gets here, it's fun. All 12 games. So,
that's right.
So for Coach Powell, I'm James Baxley. Thanks for watching, Commodore fans, and we'll see you next time on the Commodore Sports Network.
This has been Coach's Corner with your host, James Baxley.